Taking Back Sunday is on tour in support of their new record, 152. And in this video, we're going to take a look at some of the upcoming tour dates, anticipated set list, forecast, like what is this artist getting paid? If you're a promoter looking to potentially book this artist, what should you be paying them? What does a show schedule look like? We're going to evaluate the ticket prices, the VIP packages, and much, much more. So let's dive in. This tour kicks off next year, May 19th, in one of my favorite cities, New Orleans, Louisiana. That's probably gonna be a really, really great show, right? And one of the things I do in these tour preview videos is I showcase what my top 3 favorite shows are of a tour. So before we get there, though, a couple of other things to cover, right? So this is in support of their brand new album, 152, and which songs might they play, right? So here is a recent set list that they played in Brisbane, Australia on December 5th. And off of that new album that's out, they played track number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. So Amphetamine Smiles, Sold, the One, Keep Going, and Lightbringer. Those are the 7 tracks that they played, or the 5 tracks that they played off of that album. But if you look on Spotify, right, there's a couple tracks for you Taking Back Sunday fans that I'm predicting might show up on some of the set lists, right? So I Quit Trying. It's probably something that's going to show up on some set lists because it already has close to 250,000 plays on there on Spotify. I'm the Only One Who Knows is probably a song that's going to show up. And also these set lists, I mean, they change. A lot of artists have a set A and a set B. Some artists have been around for a really long time. They have maybe the same beginning, the same end, but then the middle of the set completely changes every night, right? So it'll be interesting to see which songs they cover. Also, going back real quick, I noticed one fun cover that they play in certain shows. Let me see if it was the December 6th show. Yeah, they do a Boyz II Men cover of The End of the Road. So that'd be kind of interesting to see what if they play that cover at your upcoming show, or if they have some other cool covers that they're gonna dive into. So what is the anticipated show schedule? So if you're a fan, you go into the show, you're trying to figure out when is my artist playing. I noticed some of these shows start at 7 o'clock. And typically when it comes to shows, right, at this size venue, they're playing an average of 2,000 person venues, and they're probably going to open doors an hour before the show starts. It has been advertised that Citizen is the opening act. And if they're the only opener, I'm imagining it's going to be 6 o'clock doors, 7 o'clock will be Citizen. They're going to play it for 45 minutes. It's always a half hour between headliners and openers, right? Or direct support. So Citizen will be the direct support here. Always a half hour at least. So that gives you plenty of time to go buy some merch, go bathroom, get a few drinks. And I would assume that Taking Back Sunday will be on by 8:15, hour and 45-minute show with encore. They'll be done by 10. This is the lineup. I could potentially see there being an opener. So doors at 6, an opener at 7. They're going to play 30 minutes, 7:30 changeover, then 7:45 will be Citizen. They'll probably still do a 45-minute set, and then Taking Back Sundays on by 9, and then done by 9:15, probably done by 9:45, right? Which is still a pretty early night. It seems pretty reasonable. So let's take a look at the sheet. Some of the things to expect when it comes to fees and everything. So here's all the venues they're playing, the capacities, the ticket prices, the fees, right? The fees on average is 31%, which is crazy what our industry has gotten to with the fees, right? But so anywhere from, call it 20 to 40% is where the fees are ranging. Some of the shows, like Stubbs, is a 15% fee. That's a lot more reasonable and more of what it used to be. Here I see a 14% fee at Dewey Beach. So those are more reasonable ticket fees, but you have some crazy ones, right, where it's a 46% fee plus sales tax on top. 35% fee here at House of Blues Myrtle Beach, 40% in Pittsburgh, 40% in Columbus. So some of these fees are still pretty crazy. So that's where the fees are. Most of these shows, it looks like there's a mix of promoters. Doesn't look like there's one promoter doing all the shows. So some of it's on Ticketmaster. There's some shows on eTix, Access, which is usually the AEG platform. So that has me assuming there's some AEG shows in there with the eTix and ShowClicks, potentially some independent venues, unless one of the big promoters is going into these other rooms, right, or independent rooms. Before we get into picking the top shows, let's take a look at the VIP. So they actually created a really nice graphic for their VIP packages. The first one is it's this package right here. What are they calling it? They're calling it the premium VIP package. Excuse me. It's $350. seems fairly reasonable for a VIP. It comes with a Q&A with the band. There's a skate deck that's part of the package. I believe I saw an acoustic performance and deep dive session with Taking Back Sunday. Vote for which tracks from 152 you like. So that's cool. Seems like an interactive part where people can pick their favorite tracks to play at the show. A personal photo with the band. So for $350, pretty high value. This is pretty cool. And then for $234, they have this VIP package right here. Still includes a lot of stuff, right? Especially designed 152 blanket. So you get the blanket here. I believe you still get some of the cool stuff. You get the deep dive session. You get the Q&A. So it seems like the only thing you don't get at this package is the photo op with the artist. So let me see. Personal photo with Taking Back Sunday. Okay, so yeah, this is what I noticed, right? So unless you really care about the skate deck, this package is really good. For $234, at least this is for the New Orleans show, that has really high value, right? I don't necessarily think it's necessary for most fans to spend the extra $120 for the next level package, especially if you're going with 2 people. That's $240 right there, right? And then if you've heard me talk about VIP before, I never liked the lowest package, but the other package they have is the one right here. It was like 100 something. It comes, first dibs on merch. You get this badge, this feel good badge. You get the water bottle. There's some cool stuff. Is it worth the price? Depends how big of a fan you are, right? But if you can swing the extra $100, I would just go with the package that's a little bit more because it gets you a lot cooler stuff with the VIP package. So let's dive into the top 3 shows. If you're a fan and you're trying to think which venues should I go see if I want to go fly out to see my favorite artist, I would first recommend, so I always like a show in the beginning, the middle, and the end, right? So in the beginning of the tour, I really like this venue right here, Stubbs in Austin, Texas. It's a historic music venue, legendary. I mean, some of the biggest artists in history have played there, right? And a really, really cool room in a really cool music city. The fees are actually reasonable, 15% fees with the ticket. Sales tax is on top, though, so it's probably 15% plus sales tax, right? And yeah, great city. And then the next one, of course, biased towards Orlando, but they're playing Orlando on August 1st, which is actually my birthday, I just realized. And that show is at House of Blues, which is on Disney property. If you're traveling, Orlando is a great place to travel. You can go to the theme parks. If you haven't been to this House of Blues, it's this area called, what do they call it? Disney Springs, and you have all kinds of cool shops and restaurants. So definitely a great place to go see a show. And then I thought this one was really cool. The last day on a tour. One, it's the last day of the tour. They're going to be excited. They're going to be pumped. The band's going to sound super tight. And they're playing the rooftop at Pier 17. And just to see some pictures from Pier 17, right? I mean, it looks like a really cool place in New York to go see the show. I mean, literally on a rooftop on the river, and in the summer. It seems like a really amazing way to end the tour. If you're a promoter and you're thinking, okay, like, I'm interested in booking this band, where are my opportunities to potentially grab a date, right? So if you look right here on June 21st, they're playing Minneapolis, Minnesota, and then no other dates until July 24th, right? So it looks like they're taking about a month off before they go back on the road. Just triple check that's a long time off between dates. Maybe they're playing a couple of festivals that they haven't announced yet, which is definitely a possibility. Yeah, I mean, June 21st to July 24th. It's almost a month off, right? So I think there's some opportunity depending where they are, what festivals they might be announcing potentially. But I mean, Chicago could be a place to book them. Milwaukee, Indianapolis, right? Great place to add one more date on a Saturday too. If you could find something on June 22nd, reach out to an agent and say, hey, I'm interested in booking these guys on June 22nd, right? I will from Polestar, right? If you don't have a Polestar account, you can look who the agencies are, and agents and managers and record labels. I'll share who the agent is for the band if you're interested in reaching out over on the Patreon page, where I'll also share the spreadsheet with the forecast, which you're about to see in a second. But there's a booking opportunity right there. And I saw one more opportunity right here between Myrtle Beach and Raleigh, right? You have some great days of the week, Wednesday and Thursday, to potentially swing a date as well, in either Charlotte or Asheville. Those would be some really, really cool places to play in addition to what they're already doing. I'm actually surprised I don't have a Charlotte date, at least on here. Or maybe it's not announced yet, but Charlotte or Asheville, if you're booking shows there, if you're booking shows at Orange Peel, or if you're a promoter that can go into the Orange Peel, that seems like a really great place to book a show. So talking about booking shows, what would you pay Taking Back Sunday, right? So if we go to the forecast page, which I'll share this on the Patreon page, but their ticket prices were $59.50 and $39.50. I'm assuming that maybe 40% of the tickets are probably in this range. And honestly, since it's mostly standing room GA, I'm just going to put 80% of the tickets are in this price range. Some changes on the sheet. Probably 80% on this price range. And there's I did have it correct. There'll probably be some seats, but those seats are probably limited based on the venue. So we'll do 20% here and then 80% here, which changes some things a little bit. So we'll say 20% are probably $59.50, 60% or 80% of the tickets are $39.50. Then based on previous performance, I mean, so there's only 2 reports on Polestar. $858 was their average sold based on those 2 shows. Because they're playing an average size venue of 2390, right? So if we go back to the tour dates, take all these capacities and then take the average of all their shows, their average capacity is 2390. So I would guess an agent's not going to go into a venue, right? Unless they can sell at least 70% of the venue, ideally, right? Unless it's a tour that just tanks for whatever reason. But I'm going to assume that 70% is at least what this tour is going to do of their capacities, which brings us to these, so an average of 1,673 tickets sold, which gives us an average gross of about 72,000, right? So this is at forecast number. So if we're taking out a facility fee for $3 per ticket and taking out a sales tax, this gives us our net numbers. And then just typing in for a placeholder, a $25,000 guarantee, probably have $1,000 in support budget. And we're just looking at all the different expenses, right? Advertising, box office, catering, cleanup. This is right around where expenses for a show like this will probably end up. You could maybe say stagehand is $7,500 if it's a single truck tour. They're probably not playing a lot of union venues. So honestly, since they're not playing union venues, I'm actually going to drop that down to $6,000. Security is probably closer to $1,500. Rent, let's see, maybe rent being at $4,000. AEG Live Nation or one of the big promoters are going to add $750 for a production manager. I once had a discussion with that, with a tour accountant, and he said, I'm not going to pay $750 for you to be there, since I'm not charging you for my production manager to be there, right, or my tour manager to be there. So you have to be here, so does my production manager be here, so I'm not paying you to be here. But anyways, typically with big promoters, that's going to be $750 right here. Catering, 2,000 is probably max where that comes in. Box office might come down to 500 based on the size of venues they're playing and the types of venues they're playing. You will have a runner on the shows, royalties, insurance calculated. So based on these numbers, on forecast, a promoter on just tickets would probably make about $2,500 if they're paying them $25,000. On sellout, about $5,000. Now, this is a versus net deal, right? So I did versus 90. So 32 is probably a reasonable area, so 25 to 35. So let's say the agent's probably going to ask for 35. So here's what the numbers will look at 35, right? So the guarantee is larger here. So the promoter will lose a little bit of money on the door at forecast, and then make still about $5,000 at sellout, right? Because at sellout, they're going to walk away with $55,000, almost 56. Now, of course, there's always ancillary revenue, right? So let's look at the ancillary revenue. So let's say it's the venue doing it, and the venue's getting about $8 a head on F&B. That's going to have a $35,000 or 35% cost of good. The facility fee probably comes back to the venue. Let's say there is if it's the venue doing it directly, there probably isn't a promoter rebate. But if you're a promoter going into a venue, you can ask for $1 or $2 per ticket promoter rebate. The let's see, how's this calculated? Tour dates. So this is an average of divided by 2. So I took their average facility or service fee, which is $1,377, divided that by 2, because the venues are probably getting at least half, right? So here's the ticket rebate on the venues. So a good chunk of change coming here on rebates. That's where venues and promoters make their money, right? So at forecast, they're probably walking with $24,000. At sellout, or 24 grand to the venue, right, or promoter, and then 41 grand to the promoter or venue if it's a sellout, plus any kind of sponsorship money that they potentially have coming in. So knowing that, if I were the promoter, I probably would be willing to, especially if I'm the venue, right? You probably could go to $40,000 as the upfront guarantee. Who knows? Agent might see this and say you're crazy, right? We're getting more than that, but 40 is probably a good placeholder to start. Being $5,000 loss at the door, right? In a forecast, $5,000 gain at sellout. So $10,000 swing right there. And again, if you have the ancillary revenue, this is potentially what you could walk away with. Artist revenue. So I will leave. So yeah, artist revenue, artists, right? If they're depending what they're making here, they're making about $8 a head on merch. This is potentially what they're bringing in on merch. VIP plus VIP lifts, right? So whatever else they're bringing in on VIP. And then if you are thinking, okay, how much does everybody get paid on the show? Here's what an agent might get paid if they're getting 10% of what the artist makes. Take out merch cost of goods for the manager, and the manager is making a pretty nice chunk of change for each show as well. Then net to the artist. Or gross to the artist right after commissions is anywhere from $37,000 to $53,000 a show, minus trucks, buses, tour managers, production managers, and all that. But if the artist is managing their finances really well, an artist at this level, they're making a lot of money on a tour like this, right? Especially with the number of dates that are playing. This is 36 shows right here. So this is a really, really great, successful tour for Taking Back Sunday. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Leave a comment on the video. Feel free to hop over on Patreon if you want access to this sheet and similar sheets like this from other tour previews. And you'll get that at $10 a month, or you can join the promoter school where we can do a deep dive on forecasting shows and putting together offers and reaching out to agents and so much more. It's a really great resource. It's a 15-week course or 15-session course, right? You can watch the 15 sessions in 15 days. We have live workshops on the promoter school. So that's only $30 a month currently as of this video. If you want to hop over to patreon.com/making it academy. Until next time, go see shows, meet people, make stuff. Peace, my friends.